So, life and death. And this is where I'm going slightly different from talking about grief, to talking about a couple of other things which relate into grief, but it's things which we can start thinking about and start incorporating. So, top 5 regrets of the dying. If you were on your deathbed at the moment, what would be one or more of your main regrets? If you imagine right now, you're in your deathbed, you might not make it through to the end of this week, what you feel would be one of your regrets. And take a moment to think about that. And if you would like to share, please share. If you'd like to share, if it comes to mind, please do so. As we wait for others to.
Say goodbye to my loved ones.
So say goodbye to your loved ones. That's one thing you would regret if you weren't able to. Thank you. No regrets. Wonderful. Ramishbai has no regrets, and that's the way to be. So we've got not spending time with the family is one. Yeah. Any others that you guys have?
Financial mess.
Leaving a financial mess would be one regret. Yeah. But it's one which then you don't have to deal with, someone else. But yeah, as you said, get the paperwork and things in order. Okay. So I will move on and share what some of the regrets are. So a palliative nurse called Bronnie Ware, I think in Australia, she cared for people who were in their last 12 weeks of life, and spent time with them, asked them what their regrets were, and captured these into a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. I've not read the book, but I've come across these, the book being mentioned many times, and these 5 regrets being mentioned, and see, as we share, how they relate to you. The top regret was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So this relates in my world to values, purpose, and meaning. And obviously, as we live through those, then we're not living to other people's expectations, but living true to our values, our purpose, and meaning. But this is one, the top one, where not living a life true to ourselves, but living a life that others expected. So that's number 1. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Work-life balance, we spend a lot of time working. This is the next one. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And this is here where we talk about work-life harmony. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings, emotions, and gratitude. So letting people know what how you feel about them, forgiveness, love, kindness, as a parent, being proud of your children, letting them know you are, and as a child, letting them know you're proud of your parents and letting them know you love each other. One of the exercises we do in the gratitude course is a gratitude letter. And one of the attendees who came on the November course did the gratitude letter, and she shared it with her mother, an expression of the feelings, and expressed what her mother meant to her, and shared the gratitude she had for her mother. And this was last November. In June, her mother passed away. And this attendee, this friend of mine, told me that that she was so glad she was able to do the gratitude letter and express these thoughts while her mum was able to be of sound mind and listen to them and experience that. So that's one, express your feelings while you can. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. So this brings us to the sense of connection. And I wish that I had let myself be happier, focus on happiness. I'm going to share a quick story regarding connection, which I think is beautiful. And I've shared this on the Facebook page, but I'm going to share it here. And in one of the previous slides, I had contact and I had connection. So this is the story I'm going to share. And see how this lands for you in our modern world now. A monk of the Ramakrishna mission was being interviewed by a journalist from New York. The journalist started interviewing the monk as planned earlier. The journalist said, "Sir, in your last lecture, you told us about contact and connection. It's really confusing. Can you explain?" The monk smiled and, apparently deviating from the question, asked the journalist, "Are you from New York?" The journalist said, "Yes." The monk said, "Who are at home? Who are they who are at home?" And the journalist felt that the monk was trying to avoid answering his question, since this was a very personal and unwarranted question. Yet the journalist said, "Mother has expired, father is there, 3 brothers, 1 sister, all married." The monk, with a smile on his face, asked again, "Do you talk to your father?" The journalist looked visibly annoyed. The monk said, "When did you last talk to him?" The journalist, suppressing his annoyance, said, "Maybe a month ago." The monk said, "Do your brothers, sisters meet often? When did you last meet as a family gathering?" At this point, sweat appeared on the forehead of the journalist. Now who's conducting the interview, the monk or the journalist? It seemed the monk was interviewing the journalist. With a sigh, the journalist said, we met last at Christmas 2 years ago." The monk said, how many days did you stay together?" The journalist, wiping the sweat from his brow, said, 3 days. The monk said, "How much time did you spend with your father sitting beside him?" The journalist looked perplexed and embarrassed and started scribbling something on paper. The monk said, "Did you have breakfast, lunch, or dinner together? Did you ask how he was? Did you ask how his days are passing after your mother's death?" Drops of tears coming out started to flow from the eyes of the journalist. The monk held the hand of the journalist and said, "Don't be embarrassed, upset, or sad. I'm sorry if I have hurt you unknowingly, but this is basically the answer to your question about contact and connection. You have contact with your father, but you don't have connection with him. You are not connected to him. Connection is between heart and heart, sitting together, sharing meals, and caring for each other. Touching, shaking hands, having eye contact, spending time together. Your brothers and sisters have contact, but you have no connection with each other." The journalist wiped his eyes and said, "Thanks for teaching me to find and forget today. Whether at home or in society, everybody has lots of contacts, but there is no connection, no communication. Everybody is in his or own world." And I can vouch for this, having my birthday 2 days ago, having hundreds of friends on Facebook, lots of messages on there, lots of WhatsApps, only a low number, less than 20 of people who either physically called, video called, or had time to be present with each other and spending time together. Our world has become giving our condolences via WhatsApp. Our world has become giving condolences on Facebook. It's stepped away from that heart-to-heart connection where we want that love, empathy, the kindness, the contact and connection to be there, where we just work from that base and we pick up the phone or we go around and we just ask, "How are you? How can I support you? How can I help you?" So remember that contact and connection. And if you need to make amends, make amends. And I think we all do. Fear does not prevent death. It prevents life. This is the wise words of the Buddha. Those of you who are working with the chart, you should have 6 items left. Cross off 5 items, so you've got only 1 item left. So cross off the final 5, so you've got only 1 item left. And if you're happy to drop in the chat, the title, the topic of what the item is, not the actual item you've got in there, but whether it was people, things, places, hobbies, values, or daily acts. If you've been following the process, and just drop in which of those topic titles is the one that is come through as the most important. A word about impermanence. So Diwali is coming soon. We will have rangolis that we will create. And here is a mandala that a Buddhist monks made. They made it over many days, intricately putting the color in, had it on show for a few days, and then a little while later, wiping the sands away, clearing it away. And as we experience Diwali and as we look at the Rangoli, we are reminded about that idea of impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Everything goes through change. And as something is created, it too soon will be destroyed. So with that in mind, it can help us grieve better. It can help us grow around our grief. So the idea of impermanence. Life and time are the two best teachers. Life teaches us to make good use of time, and time teaches us the value of life. You see some marbles there? I have a little jar of marbles here. I highly encourage you to get a jar, get some marbles. What you see here are some numbers. I'm 51. My life expectancy, according to actuaries and all that, is about 80, give or take a couple of years. So that's 30 years. So that's the 30. The 360 is the number of months, 30 times 12, and the 1560 is the number of weeks. Get a jar, either get 360 marbles or get 1560, and either each week or at the end of each month, take a marble out of the jar and cast it away. Here you are literally losing your marbles and visibly seeing the time disappearing will help you realize what's important and how best to use our time, as we see from the quote. We think we're going to live forever. To James Rangoli, no time to die. The truth is we don't know when our time will be, or the time for others around us. So we've got to make the best use of our time.